she's the person that has shaped me to be who I am today, and I have to acknowledge it. I have to acknowledge she's the person who has shaped me to be fearless, to be outgoing, to be a thriving person, because she has held a space for me. I mean, she has made me believe in my goals, even in the things that I never thought I would do. At some point, we do not pour from an empty cup. We just need to sit down, fill in our cups without feeling guilty. Because one thing about being a community person who does programs in the community, you can feel like you're letting people down. But the truth is, you're not letting them down the day you choose to fill in your cup. Just imagine a situation where you've given birth to twins. One of them has passed on, and then you have another one who is incubated, and she's gonna be there for 3 months. You don't even know if she's going to survive.
Hello, wonderful humans. Welcome to Modern Day Comfort. Modern Day Comfort is a YouTube podcast where mental wellness meets creativity through visual arts, meaningful conversation, and storytelling. And it is a space that we ignite healing, we share experiences, and we explore emotions by creating this warm and honest space. And today, our magnificent guest goes by the name Jacinta. Karibu sana Jacinta.
Thank you so much, Martin. Hi, good people. How are you today? My name is Jacinta, and welcome to our Modern Day Campfire podcast. Click that subscribe button, like, share, give us comments on what we need to do best, give us comments on who you need to reach out to. If you want to be our guest, also reach out. See you being our next guest. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Jacinta. Thank you so much.
What's up, good people? How are you? Welcome to our Modern Day Campfire podcast. This is Jacinta. Jacinta is a young counselor psychologist and a very active mental health advocate. A common question that I get of why did I choose to become a psychologist? I'll say different situations, different circumstances, and also being a person that loves community and a person that loves holding space for people, and also a person that loves people sharing their stories as they are without, of course, being pushed to the wall or even being judged for who they choose to be. So yeah, so sharing why I chose to be a psychologist would be a story for another day. But today I just choose to say Jacinta is a young, fearless woman who does mental health advocacy, great love for community, great philanthropist who loves just addressing things in our community, and someone who does. How did I get here? I want to say I've been raised by a very resilient, fearless woman. And shout out to my one and only mother, of course. She's such a beautiful soul with unconditional love. And she's the person that has shaped me to be who I am today. And I have to acknowledge it. I have to acknowledge she's the person who has shaped me to be fearless, to be outgoing, to be a thriving person, because she has held a space for me. I mean, she has made me believe in my goals, even in the things that I never thought I would do. Yeah, and about where I've grown up, do you really tell me you want to know where I've grown up? Anyways, I wanted to skip that, but let me just say I've grown up in the mighty Kitui County. Wale wakisema tunaogopa Kitui. Yeah, that is my home county. I've gone to school there. I've stayed there for quite some time and I love the place. Of course, one thing that I've been able to pick from my county is that there are so many things that we pick and take for granted that are not something to do with uh, girls not being able to afford maybe menstrual products, something like drug addiction in the communities with the young boys going out there and doing all sorts of things. Those are things I've been able to pick in our society. And yeah, maybe that is the reason why I'm so passionate about giving back to the community, giving people their voices back in the community, and just letting people believe in who they are. I mean, it's just a whole sort of, happiness to just let people know, yeah, believe in yourself, because why not? Why not? Yeah. So, what else would you want to know about me today? I'm just here to share. This is Jacinta. This is a young, fearless psychologist, and of course, a woman that believes in whatever you want to have, you will have it. You just need to believe in yourself. It is not only believing in yourself, but going for it, because haitakuja ikupate hapo. You just have to go for it unapologetically, fearlessly. Command those rooms, own those rooms, pick whatever you wanna pick unapologetically, because it is yours. And yeah, that is what Jacinta is. And I would want to see you being that fearless.
I have a question.
So yeah.
What is one thing people do get wrong about you?
One thing that people get wrong about me, people think I am not a social person until they get to interact with me. I am a choosy extrovert, so it is expected that people will, think I am not social. I don't entertain jokes. That is what people think. People think I am serious. I, of course, put a serious face, but it's just because I am a choosy extrovert. And I'll say I am a choosy extrovert because I am the only child in our family. And being the only child, you don't have sisters, you don't have brothers. So it also becomes difficult to make friends, because the only friend that you're used to is your parents. I mean, you don't know what it means to have social friends out there. Even going to school, making friends becomes a big deal. So you just have to believe in your books, in your journals, and actually being the only child has made me a person who loves books so much. I love journaling. You will always find me reading a book. I just find myself reading books. Currently, my current read is called well, I tend to think the book is kind of manipulative, but it is called How to Influence People Without Being a Leader. Yeah, but I think it's just a great book, even though it has some type kinds of manipulation in there. But yeah, I just love reading books because I'm the only child, and it gives people notion that I am not a social person, but I am a noisemaker. Only that I study my environment for quite too long. It takes me like a whole year. But a fun fact is that at the church where I go to, I went to that church for 1 year and 3 months without anyone noticing I am around, or even without having friends in that church for 1 year and 3 months. It is until the start of this year that I started making friends in that church, and I started going to that church 2023 September. That tells you how much of a juicy extrovert I am. Yeah.
Today we are going to talk about a topic on resilience. And before we start, maybe I'll just give you an opportunity to talk to maybe an audience that is joining at the moment. Maybe what will you promise them to gain by the end of this conversation?
Well. Let me say, I have a very powerful story to share. And one thing I'm so sure about is that this is a story that can spark some hope in someone's life. Sometimes you don't need to do it perfectly, you just need to do it the best way how you know. And you don't need to go out of your way in so many ways. You just need to do it the way you know it. And for sure, things just gonna work out. So as I always say, it doesn't have to be perfect today. It doesn't have to be okay today. but a day at a time. Take things slowly and surely will get better. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Jacinta, for that. And before we start, what is resilience to you personally?
Uh-huh. Resilience to me, how I understand resilience is being able to just stand the storms, or
Mm.
being able to bounce back after the storms, after being in maybe a pitch, just yeah, being able to bounce back.
Mhm. Thank you. And at what point in your life did you like experience that resilience?
Well, at what point in my life did I experience resilience? I would say in so many ways, and in ways that maybe let me say because of how things just happen in the environments that we grow up as people. Yeah, something like that. Just an environment. It might not be my personal story, but someone's story, a person who is very close to me, and I just look at it and listen to it, and I'm like, wow, that is resilient.
Do you mind sharing with us the story?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this is a story of a very important person in my life, a very a powerful person in my life, and that is my mom. I usually call her power woman. And yeah, because when I just look back to how events were as she gave birth to me and as I get to grow up, yeah, I just look at her as a power woman, and that is the reason I call her a power woman. And just to begin, I would say I am the only child to my mother. That means I don't have sisters, I don't have brothers, but it doesn't mean I didn't have sister, or rather I didn't have a sibling. And my mom gave birth to us when she was 6 months pregnant, like just days to her third trimester. And we all know what that means. That means you've given birth to premature babies, and you don't know whether these babies will come back again. You don't know whether you will go home with them. You are just there. You don't know what's next because things have just turned out to be like that. So when we were at that premature age, she has given birth to us. We are twins, and we're just there. She doesn't know what's next. Some days later, my twin sister passed on, so she's just there. And just imagine a situation where you've given birth to twins, one of them has passed on, and then you have another one who is incubated, and she's gonna be there for 3 months. You don't even know if she's going to survive. So you're just there living in hope every day of, I hope she survives today. And you actually don't live a life of looking forward to you walking out of this hospital holding her. You live a life of, I just want to see her live for today. So yeah, my sister passed on and I was left. And
You are twins.
yeah, we were twins. I had a twin sister, by the way. You guys, you always think I'm the only child. I had a twin sister and I miss her. Yeah. But anyway, don't be sorry to me. I've learned to live with it. As I always say, loss and grief is not something that goes away. It is something that you live with, especially when you come and you are told this story of you had a sibling and you've always wanted to have a sibling and you realize I had a sibling somewhere. And you some days I just sit down and I start imagining how life would be if she was here today. Especially on the days when I just scroll through my socials and I find videos of twins doing things. I just sit in there and start thinking, if my twin sister was here, these are the things we would be doing, nini, nini, Yeah. But then this story is not actually about me. This story is about my mom. How now I am left there helpless. Let me just say helpless. And she doesn't know what next. And she just keeps hope alive that I'm gonna do this. And the one perfect thing that I've always been told in this story is that, you see, in those incubation rooms, you're not just allowed to walk in there anyhow. You get. And one thing that my mom did was she started sneaking in kunipea maziwa, to a point she made friends with the nurse. And yeah, like I just look at it and I'm like, okay, maybe does it mean if she wasn't sneaking in, I would have not have survived? Those are things that I just think about sometimes. And yeah, she just would sneak in. She became friends with the nurse. At some point, I had to be transferred from that facility to another facility because my life maybe was at risk or something. I don't know. But yeah, but I also have to acknowledge the people that held her through. And I usually say I am my mother's miracle baby, because for sure I am a miracle baby, because this is a situation where it could have been me and not her. And we are here today because it is me that was left, and it is her that decided to, you know, vile watu wanasema TikTok, ali decide tu siku moja amke na acha kupumua. But yeah, so that is it. And I just look at how the journey has been for my mom, or rather how the journey was for her for those 3 months, waking up every day and you don't know what will happen. Sometimes you don't even know when you walk into that incubation room, even through sneaking, will you find your child alive? And I just think about what was going through my mother's mind. Of course, this is a story that my mom didn't share with me. These are the people that were very close to her during that time that shared this story with me. And I I didn't want to ask my mom about it because I understand I might start triggering the words that maybe she has tried so much not to, trigger or awaken them. And yeah, having seen me through those 3 months and she comes out of the hospital with me alive, I mean, I just imagine what was going through her mind. And then later, just look at, I mean, she has, sometimes I just look at myself and I'm like, she has managed to bring up a whole grown woman from someone who she didn't know will survive, someone whom she doesn't know will survive. And later coming to study how loss and grief works, especially for mothers that get to miscarry, mothers that get to lose their babies, I realize, I come to think about the pain that she was going through. And I look at it from, imagine you're there, you're battling loss and grief of, you've given birth to 2 kids. I mean, one of them is no more. You have another one who, for lack of a better word, is like a liability at that particular moment, because you just have to stay there every other day for 3 consecutive months. Your life stops, because that means her life stopped. If she was working, she stops working, and her life just stops to just ensure she sees me alive. And looking at how she had to even sneak to the incubation room to ensure I get fed, I mean, my mind just goes through around the whole thing, and I'm like, she's the most resilient woman I know in the whole world. I don't think I can ever go and pick someone else and say, this is the resilient person I know, because behind me, or rather besides me, I have a very resilient mother who has, even today, done things above and beyond to see me be where I am today. And she's just a person who holds my hand, and she's the person who will say, it doesn't matter how things are today, because things will get better tomorrow. And when she says that, I just think about this story and I'm like, yeah, she has been in the worst situation. And she knows what she's saying when she says, tomorrow will get better. You know, even in the days when your mental health is just crumbling, when you're hitting the wall and I'm trying to just like tell her, Mom, I don't think this is working out, and she's just like, no, it gets better with time. And sometimes I tend to think that is the reason my mother is very passionate about children. She loves children so much. She has worked with children for quite some time. She just loves babies. And I don't know, I think to myself, is it because of what she went through that makes her love babies? I don't know. That one she will tell us. Maybe I will bring her in someday as a guest. But when you just look at the whole thing, you see what resilience really means. Having stopped your life for 3 months, just sitting there hoping that this human that I'm sitting here with, I will take her home, either alive or not alive. Like, you're just there, you don't know what happens. And that is unspoken loss. And that is why sometimes I say we have unspoken grief. And if you are a person who is just there, you're going through loss and grief, you don't know how to deal with it, sometimes you don't need to do anything. And I just want to say this. If you're a person going through this, how about you just pick a piece of paper and a pen, and that piece of paper, cut it into two pieces, and imagine a superior being, or yeah, just imagine a superior being. And when I say a superior being, I mean someone who controls our lives, maybe God. Yeah, let's just work with that. Controlling, being the controller of so many things that happen, or the supernatural being that you believe in. And through using that half piece of paper and a pen, write a story about someone you love. Do you think that piece of paper will be enough to write a story of someone you love? Definitely not. If you cut it into four pieces, it will also not be enough. But one thing I say is, sometimes these situations happen to us because we are the chain or the link that are meant to go through some situations so that we can speak power and resilience and hope into someone's life. And when I look at this whole story of how my mom just had to sit in with all these things, I just look at how that story shapes most things of my life. Some days when I just feel like, no, I'm tired, I just want to give up. Because sometimes we just give up, or give it all or give up, and sometimes you give it your all and things are just going haywire. And I just look at it and I'm like, she was used either through a quarter piece of a paper or a half piece of a paper to write a story for someone like me or you who is listening to me today, to pick something from it, to pick resilience, and to even pick to learn to live through all these storms. Because sometimes we don't have to do anything, and it is not a bad thing when you don't do anything. Sometimes you just have to sit in there, do things the best way how you know, or even when you don't have a best way, you don't need to think about so much, just be there. Sometimes we want to do so much and we just worsen the situations by doing so much. I'm not saying you don't try seeking help, but sometimes we do too much and nothing works out and we can blame ourselves. Maybe my mom did too much to ensure she goes through the 9 months. Fortunately or unfortunately, she went through 6 months. But just look at me. I am a full grown human being that she has brought, I mean, she has brought here. So, yeah, loss and grief can be something difficult, very, very difficult. Let me say that. And we have unspoken grief where, and one thing about grief is it never goes away. We just learn how to live with it. It doesn't mean we forget our loved ones. No, we just learn to love them better each day. We just learn to live without them, but love them more because they are no longer here. I might not have interacted with my twin sister personally, but there is something in me that grieves her because in one way or the other we had a connection, and human beings are just a whole chain of relations and connections because she was my blood and nothing will ever change that she was my blood. And that is why just some days I just wake up, I miss her. I don't even know the person I miss how they look like, but I just tend to imagine she was my twin sister, so maybe she looks like the way I look. That is what I just imagine, and that is the unspoken grief. I don't know how to say it. Maybe sometimes I can just speak about it and someone will think, oh, you're mechizi. But yeah, it just happens. And in those seasons of loss and grief, just know sometimes you don't have to do it alone. You can speak to someone. You can write about it. Pick a piece of paper. Write about a story you would want to tell them that moment that you just feel you miss them, you want to talk to them. Write down on a paper what is it that I would tell them at this particular moment. What is it that I would have wanted to tell them? For example, it's a mother, you've had a miscarriage and you didn't get to like have that conversation with your kid and you just wake up and you're missing them. Pick a piece of paper, write. What would you have told them if you had a personal conversation with them? What would you say to them? Which how what are the activities you would engage them in? If the activities that you can do, just go out and do them. Sometimes I'll just go out, take coffee because I feel like maybe this day I would have gone out with my sister, we take coffee, you know. Some days I just cook because I'm like, maybe if my sister was here, I would make for her this meal, just something. Yeah, something. Because you know what, this is something that we just gonna live with. But one thing that amazes me is how resilient mom was able to just come from, let me just call it that dark moment. Because she came from it, of course. And here I am. She has brought me up. She has gone above and beyond to ensure, yeah, she gets to make it. That doesn't mean uh, if something would have happened, she didn't try. She actually did. And what I want to say to everyone that is going through such seasons is that there are things we cannot control, and we just need to accept there are things we will not be able to control, and we have just done our best. And let us learn to acknowledge the moments we do our best and there is nothing else left. Because one thing for sure, in matter of life and death, the truth is we do not have power to give life. We can do everything possible that we know. We can be in those hospital beds with our loved ones. We can spend sleepless nights there. We can do everything possible. But the truth is, we do not have power to give them life. And yeah, I don't know if this is dark to say, but I just want to say the truth is we will all die. But it is just a painful experience that happens because we get to lose these people. We won't see them again. Maybe we will see them again if we have that resurrection narrative, if it's true, but just learn to love them every day. This is something you learn to live with. Hi, guys. Welcome to Modern Day Campfire Question Chain. This is a culture that we have here whereby the previous guest leaves a question to the incoming guest. And our previous guest was Lindsay Extra, and she left a question that says, at what point did you realize that no one is coming to save you? This is a question to the incoming guest, and I am the today's incoming guest. Of course, there has been so many episodes where I realized no one was coming to save me, but I feel one that particularly addresses me directly is a point where I felt I have gone extremely so hard for people. I've done so much to save people, have done so much to give to people, but when it's my time for people to hold that space for me, no one does the same. So that was a period when I realized at some point we do not pour from an empty cup. We just need to sit down, fill in our cups without feeling guilty. Because one thing about being a community person who does programs in the community, you can feel like you're letting people down. But the truth is, you're not letting them down the day you choose to fill in your cup. You just need to be in that moment where nothing is moving for you, but even in that silence, just know you love yourself first. You choose yourself first, and it doesn't mean you don't love the community. And I realized I can even stay without showing up to those communities, but I mean so much to them even without showing up, because I have to be resilient for myself first before showing them what resilience means. Thank you. And one very important thing to note is on some days during seasons of grief, you wake up and you are in your best mood. Nothing has, you're just in your best mood. You feel like you've walked past it. But the truth is, there are days you wake up and you feel like that wound is so fresh. So grief it never goes away. It is just having to accept, yeah, this is what has happened. And I have to learn to live with it. Acceptance is the best thing, but you don't have to hurry your healing process. Take it a day at a time. Just know one thing. It can take even 5 years, it can take 10 years, it can take even forever. You don't need to hurry your healing process. It takes time, a day at a time. And the way I process it is not the same way Martin will process it. It's not the same way you will process it. So yeah, we just learn to live with it. One thing is we just learn resilience through it. And that is the most powerful tool that we can ever have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that. And that is a very, very touching story. Yeah, I was reflecting on a lot. I do have a twin sister also, and I can't imagine how life would be like, having the same experience. It would be a very, very different experience. And I was trying just to analyze, and I felt you. I really felt you. And as you are talking also, you were saying one way of also dealing with grief is just loving and loving more. And what is loving to you, and how do you love, and how do you love this more? Like, could you kindly expound on that?
You know, love is, it's a very controversial term. Love is a very controversial term, but to me, it is just being like mindful about them, considering and being considerate about them, acknowledging that they are part of us, acknowledging that they are part of who we are, and even acknowledging that they shape our stories of who we are. And okay, for me, I feel like my twin sister, either being here or not, she shapes a bigger part of who I am. I don't know, but some days I do things and I feel like I am operating as two people. I really don't understand that. Sometimes I honestly feel like that. I don't know. I don't know whether it's just episodes or processing loss and grief, but there are days I do things and I feel like I am operating in two human forms. I really don't understand how that works. But for me, it's just acknowledging that in one way or the other, having met or not met her, she shapes the story of the person that I am today. And one thing that I also wanted to mention in the whole story is one thing that I have been able to learn from my mother's story is sometimes out there in our communities, you find, because society is society and people talk and cultures are cultures and people are allowed to say anything. I mean, the freedom of speech, and freedom of expression. And you will hear people ask someone, why do you have one child? Or why don't you have a child? And one thing I have learned is we don't know people's stories behind closed doors. And we just have to be so kind with our words. We need to be considerate with how our words and actions make other people feel. Because sometimes I sit down and imagine a situation where someone asks me, Mom, why do you have one child? Okay, I have experienced situations where people ask me, why are you the only child? I honestly don't know how to respond to that question. And I just make fun about it because I know people will talk, and it's not a big deal. But I'm just imagining someone who has gone through such an episode, or someone who has gone through just a disclaimer, something. Uh, Someone who has gone through several miscarriages and they don't have a kid, and you ask them, why don't you have a child? I feel like it is a very triggering question, and we just need to be mindful with how we portray our words to other people. Because for sure, behind closed curtains, people are processing a lot of things, and people just come out as strong, all smiling, but hapo nyuma ya tent, a lot of things are happening. I also kept on asking myself as a young child, why don't I have brothers and sisters? And I see other people having brothers and sisters playing with them. While I had cousins growing up, yeah, but I really admired to have a sister or a brother. And it is until I was given this story by someone, and that is when I realized, yeah, if I was put in my mother's shoes, I wouldn't even want to have another child because that is the worst nightmare for any mother, for even motherhood. And I'm just saying, let us be mindful with how we communicate to people. It doesn't even have to be beings with childlessness or even children, let me say, but even in how we talk to people. Remember, we are saying we just want to hold safe spaces for people. And as for me, I actually even dream to have a platform that holds a safe space, like a big, just like a big safe space for people that are processing the unspoken grief. Sometimes we don't even need to talk about it. You just need to come, sit there, write, draw, do whatever shit you wanna do in there, and just walk out if it heals you. Because yeah, people actually need that space, and we all are victims of loss and grief, and this is something we can't run away from it. It's something we have to learn to live with it, because in one way or the other we're going to lose our loved ones. It doesn't mean it is not going to hit us. It is going to hit us really bad. And we just need to learn how to live with it. Hold space for them. For me, even in those seasons where I experience these episodes, one way of maybe how I even keep on loving her more is I'll just take a piece of paper, my diary, and just write something, write a love letter to her, just something. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that. And to anyone out here, I know that people who are going through heartbreaks, emotional heartbreaks, financial turmoil,
Yeah.
maybe career blockage, like yani people are going through a lot there.
That's for sure.
Yeah. What word of encouragement maybe would you maybe share with them today?
Okay. I want to acknowledge sometimes when we are going through these seasons, there are things that might not make sense. But one thing that I have known, even as a person who has gone through several seasons, even joblessness, you see, one thing about being an adult is you're not too special not to go through these seasons. If it is joblessness, you will encounter it. If it is heartbreak, you will encounter it. If it is whatever it is, if it is, you will just encounter all these things, all these seasons. But it for sure gets better with time, one day at a time. But I want to say, in the moments when you feel like you are hitting the wall, remember to seek professional help. We just need, that is why we have psychologists like me and other psychologists out there that are there to support us mentally, because sometimes I usually say when you look at a cup like this and oh, let me just do something. When you look at a cup like this, the moment this cup is empty and I am thirsty and there is no water, it means I'm not gonna drink water. It is the same thing. That moment when you feel drained, you feel like you've tried all the means, seek professional help. Don't sit in there and die with depression, because all these things happen. And sometimes it also depends with our perception. If you look at this cup, someone might see this cup as half empty. Another person will look at this cup and see it half full, because we have different perceptions. But just remember, in all these seasons that happen, choose to fight for your mental health. Your mental health is the most important thing that you can ever fight for. Be grounded on your mental well being under all these seasons, because these seasons are there, they will happen. Trust you me, no one is prone, and we are all victim to mental health illnesses. We are victims. No one is so special not to be a victim. Even a psychologist like me who is an expert, it doesn't mean I am so special not to go through something like that. But on the days like those, I have to stay so grounded on choosing my mental health first. And you choose your mental health first by just doing the smallest things that speak life to you. If it's going out for that coffee, just go and take that coffee. If it is just going out for that nature walk, go out for that nature walk. If it's taking a book and journaling, take a book and journal. If it is just sitting in somewhere and talking to yourself, just talk and let it out. If it is crying, just cry and let it out. Anything, just stay grounded on your mental health, because it comes fast. And so many people say there is no health without mental health. And for sure, when you are not okay mentally, so many things do not work out. You will not become productive at work. You will not be a good girlfriend, a good boyfriend. You will have some patterns of you that are subjecting all these unhealthy things to the other person. You will not be a healthy part. You will not be a present parent when you have some part of you that is struggling. You will not be a present colleague at work. So many things will not just happen, right? So in all these seasons, choose your mental health first and seek professional help. And you don't need to wait for that period of bad days for you to seek professional help. You don't need to go to therapy the days that things are not working. The same way you go to a doctor on the days you're not sick for consultation, it is the same way. You need to just go and see a therapist.
Thank you for that. And you, Jacinta, you also have Bonga na Jacinta. Could you, and you've also mentioned that you are a therapist.
Yeah.
And I know there are people out here who are like, tutakupata wapi? So could you also kindly just give us the what Bonga na Jacinta entails and where can we find you?
Right. So Bonga Jacinta therapy is a mental wellness organization. Let me say that deals with offering therapy services to everyone. And Bongana Jacinta basically, it is just, if you just, the name, it is just speaker. And the reason we have that name is just to let people see these things are not that difficult as we might think, and they are not much serious, not to be dealt with as we think. And the aspect of Bonga is to just say things as they are, unfiltered as they are. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to come in a different way. Just come as you are, and that is what Bonga Jacinta entails. Just who you are, the unfiltered truth of yourself. Just come, and we offer therapy services at very affordable rates, of course. And we offer these services virtually. If you need physical sessions, we also do physical sessions. But mainly, Bongana Jacinta does virtual services. Of course, getting therapy at the comfort of your home here. And if you wanna reach out to me, or if you wanna contact me, you can reach out to our page. I have a page on Instagram called Bongana Jacinta Therapy. I also have across all my socials, Jacinta Wanjiku is my name, across LinkedIn, across Facebook, across Instagram. Yeah, that is where you can find me. And from there, you will see our contact details, and you will get to contact us. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jacinta, and also thank you for your kindness to share your story with us, and also being a guest. I can't take that for granted. I'm genuinely humbled for that. And to our dear viewer, yeah, thank you for your never-ending support. You are part of the reason we keep on doing what we are doing. I'm going to share with you. You'll share with me the poster. I will display it also on the screen. And yeah, have an awesome day ahead. Thank you. See you on the next video.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.